Now we're going to move on to the verbal reasoning section. So the first one, it says you have to move one letter from the first word and move it to the second word to make a new word, but the two of them have to end up both meaning two new words. So you have to take a letter from this word, and it's all really about this, is trial and error. Use your piece of paper, use a scrap of paper, use anything that you have, and write out, if you removed the B, what would that make? Move it over here. If you move the E, if you move the A, and I will go through that as a process of elimination. If it doesn't make a sensible word in the first place, then you don't have to move it over here. The two words have to be two new words once you've moved a letter over. Looking at this, like that, if you move the B over, you could put the B anywhere. It doesn't have to go at the end. I've just put it here, but would it go at the start? It still wouldn't make a word. You have the second one, if you move the E over here, as we see here, it does bacon and event. We'll just go through them all. If you took away the A, beckon, beck is not how you spell the word beckon, and then venta. Again, you can put the A anywhere. If you put it VA, it's all really trial and error, writing down words, seeing which one. And this is hugely important to know your vocabulary and know all different, be exposed to all different types of words. And that will really help in this section of the 11+, reading lots of books, coming across new words, looking up at the dictionary. All this work beforehand will really, really help this type of question. I've just gone through, taken each one out, seen if we can make a word. Bacon, vento, no, ambico, and then add another N, vent. So out of process elimination with the trial and error, it has to be B. If you take away the E from this and you put it to the start of this word, it becomes event, and this becomes a new word, bacon. So beacon to vent becomes bacon to event. So the answer has to be B. Let's look at the next one. So we have two words, string and camp. What letter can be moved from string to make a new word over here with camp? So again, all a bit of trial and error. If we move, say the first option says S. If we move this over here, this could become tring, and then S, camps. But are the two words, tring isn't a word, so it can't be that. T, if we move this T, what will that become? String, sring, tamp. It doesn't still make sense. Then we go to the or, so we move the or. If we move the or, that could become sting. And then we have to try and place this so it makes sense. So it could be, the only place you could make it is in here with cramp. So the answer has to be C. Now you could, just to make sure, you could say, okay, I think that makes a word sting, cramp. I can make here, let's just see I, just to make sure. Sting wouldn't make sense, and I in here wouldn't make sense. The last word is N. Another good tip that I always use, look at the answers that they give you. Because if you see here, G isn't even in an option. So I wouldn't just start moving and just seeing which letters. Automatically, because G is an option, you can automatically just cancel G out. It's not going to be G. So it's going to be between these 5. So always look at the answers and then just slot them in from there. Try and take away the S from here, putting it in here, and going down the line. And that's what I find the quickest way and the best way to try and find the answer to these questions. This is just an example. Yeah, sting and cramp are the answers. Let's look at the next one, number 3. So we have movies and host. So again, if we look, E isn't even an option here. M, O, V, I, and S. So we could move the M over here. Wouldn't make sense of a word. If we move the O, host, but what would this make? Wouldn't be sensible. V, if we move it here, still won't make sense. And I don't think if you put it in there, it couldn't make sense. If we come to I, cancel out I here. This becomes moves. Move it over here. Now it's just knowing the position and trying to make out the word, putting in a letter anywhere here to make sense. So if we put it in here, it'd be hoist. Hoist. So that makes two sensible words, moves and hoist, by moving a letter. So it has to be D. Now, question 4. It's filled and party. Have a look at your options. There's F, E, L, I and D. That's all the options really, because there's two L's. So could it be F? And again, move it over. This become ild. And where could you put an F in here? Parfy wouldn't make sense. So it can't be F. Let's have a look at E. Filled. Filled. Wouldn't make a word. So you could automatically, if you know in the first word it's not going to make a sensible word, then you could move on, because remember, under the exam pressure you have to work very quickly in this kind of exam. If we go to L, if we move one L over there, that would be filed, to file something, filed. And if we put the L over here, we could put it in after the T, partly. That would make a sensible word, filed and partly. But again, you can go through to make sure that would the I make sense if you get rid of it there? No. And the D would make file. No, there's two L's there, so it won't make a word. So that means it has to be C, filed and partly, moving the L. Okay, number 5. It says brain and tail. The options are B-R-A-I-N. It's the 5 options. Now, if we get rid of the B, we're left with rain. That's a word, so we're halfway there. And that's the C. Does the B make sense anywhere in this word? Now, sometimes some words might, so if you cancel the B, or say for instance, if you cancel the I in this instance, it does make bran, B-R-A-N. And that's okay, but it has to make the 2 words. It has to make 2 new words. So if the I doesn't fit in here, it won't be a new word. So going back to A, if you take away the B, it has rain. And if we move the B over, we could go put it after the A, and that would make table. So that's 2 words. And once you've found one, if you don't have time in the exam, if you think you know and that's right, it's rain, table, I've completed 2 new words by moving a letter. If you don't have time, you don't have to go through each one to make sure. If you found it, perfect, write it down in your answer sheet. But you could go through them all just to make sure. Can the or, if I take away the or, bane doesn't make it. A, brin, it's like bring, but you need a G, so that doesn't make sense. The I, bran, as I've said there, but does it make sense if you come over here? T-A, taily. No, that's not a word. And the last one is N. If you take away the N there, bria, doesn't make sense. So it has to be A, moving the A. From bran to table are the new words. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Next one is flower and lit. The options are O, F, W or L. So E is an option, so we can almost cancel out E straight away. So O, if we take away O, will that make sense? No. And if you put it over here, light, no. Let me see, take away F from the first word, you'd have lower. And then if you could put in the F somewhere here, you can put it at the start. Would it fit at the start, go at the end, or will it go in the middle? So if you could put it in here, it would be lift. So lower and lift. Let's just see the other ones just to make sure. W, flow, no, that will make sense. Or, if you got rid of this or and put it over here, doesn't make a sensible word. And L, flower, still no, and it has to be B and moving the F. So go to lower and lift. Let's have a look at the next one. Liner and bother. If we go with the options A, B, C, D and E, if we look at them, again we can start again taking away the L, inner, and bringing over the L somewhere here. Again, remember it can go at the start, the end, or any in between any of these letters as well. So I don't think L could fit in any of there to make a word. I, if you take away the I there, doesn't make a sensible word. If you take away N with it, liner, can we put an I here? Doesn't make any sensible word there. Going through the E, cancel out the E here. Liner wouldn't be a sensible word. Let's see E. If you take away the or, cross that out, it becomes line. Now if we put the or somewhere here, now there's already an or, but is there a word that has two ors that are similar to this? If you put the or in here, it would make brother. So the answer has to be E to make line and brother two new words. Next one, Claim and Brad. So let's see our options. If we took away the C, lame, and then the C wouldn't fit anywhere there to make a sensible word. If we took away the A, now one thing as well I also remember, it's always from the first word. So even though there's an A here, you could say, okay, can I take this away and put it upon here? No, it says in the instructions that if you take one letter from the first word and move it to the second word, so you're always taking a letter from the first word. You're never going back the way, even though it might be have a letter in it as well. So say for A, it's always going from here over. It's never going back. This A won't be going back to the first word. Just in case people get confused as well on the day of the exam with the pressure and everything, they don't realise or don't read the question carefully, or maybe they think it's an option but it's not. Make sure as well that you read the question carefully and understand exactly what they're asking you to do. Moving the A, if you go over there, Clim, if you took away the A, no. If you took away the I, be clam, and move it over here, you could have the word braid. And going through the next ones, let's just see M. Wouldn't make any sense if you got rid of it there, and wouldn't make a new word here. And the L, if you took away the L here, came, or and then if you move it over here, the L wouldn't fit in anywhere to make a sensible word. So it has to be, on that judgment, it has to be C, moving the I letter, so that the two new words would be clam and braid. Number 9 is chimps and swap. Looking at the word, what are the options? So I isn't even an option, so it's C, M, H, P and S. What word could we move here to make a new word? If you take away the C, it'd be hymns. No. H wouldn't make sense without the H. I wouldn't make sense either. If you took away the M, you would have chips. And then where would it make sense putting the M anywhere here? Swamp. Swamp could be fit in here. So that's another way of doing it. If you don't like going through the answers, going through each one, like, okay, let's take away the C. You could, and let's then go on to B and let's take away the M. You could do an order of here and just say, right, let's look at the C. Can the C be moved over here to make a word? Can the H be moved over here? And kind of eliminate them there instead of looking at the answers first. Some people do that. It's whichever way you find the best for you. So you might, as a process elimination, say, right, chimps, the M can be moved over and this would still be a word, chips. And then move it over here and this would become the word swamp. So it has to be answer B, you're moving the letter M. And the two new words are chips and swamp. Okay, number 10, biased and pant. If we do it this way, we look at we know that one of these letters is going to be moved. Looking at the answers, there's no E. E isn't an option, so you don't even have to look at that. It's not even an option. So you might go B, move that over. Will there be a sensible word if you put a B in this type of word? B, P would never be seen together really, so it's not. Move the I over. This will become based. Based on a true story, you'd often see that, so based. If you move it over here, would this make a word? Yes, it would. It would make paint. If you put the P-A-I in here, N-T, that would be a new word, paint. So you could just highlight then, it's going to be A. Based and paint. Now again, you could go through just to make sure if you have time in the exam. I'm just thinking these questions can be very, very quick and you might have only a few minutes to do these type of questions. So whatever strategy you find the easiest and quickest to do, obviously go and do it that way. Either do it, start with the word and just move them all over, or look at the answers and just go through it letter by letter here to get your answer. Okay, so in this section, you have to pick a letter that will go at the end of this word, the start of this, the end of this word, and the start of this word to make 4 words. These are the letters that they give: T, L, R, E, and B. And what you have to do is find the one letter. One letter is put in place in each of these, the same letter, this here and here, to make the 4 words. Out of a process elimination, you go through, start at A, you can put in A here, or sorry, A here, which is T, put it in and see if it makes 4 words. Now, if you can see, it'll make the word tile, it'll make snot here, it'll say tell if you put it there. If you put it in here though, grat, will it make a new word there? So even though it does kind of make 3 sensible words, it has to make 4 new and sensible words. So it's not going to be this third one, the G-R-A-T. It cannot be T, because this word grat, even though it does make tell and the rest of them tile, but it doesn't make the 4, so it can't be T. If you put it in L, even into the first ones, you could even test it out in one or either area. If it doesn't make a sensible word there, you know it's not going to make it in the other category. So if you're going to say L, if you put it in here, snol and lyle, they're not sensible words. So if you run under pressure, don't feel that you have to go through here as well, gral and lel. So we already know from this example that doesn't make sensible words, so then you could move on. C, the letter is R. So if we put it in, say for this example here, rel and grar, they're not sensible words. And then you could just bypass that. You know, if that's not just 2 sensible words, well, this won't be either. It's not going to be that answer. You can, if you have time, to check all 4. So you could go to R, to rile and snore, but it doesn't have an E, so still not a sensible word. So you have to move on. So D, the letter here is E. Now if you put E over here, eel, or grey, grey is G-R-A-Y, so it's not going to have an E in it. Eel and snow, they're still not spelled correctly, and this is why it's so important to be reading all the time, so that you're aware of how to spell different words. Your vocabulary is so important for the verbal reasoning section, and this is where it really comes into great use. You need to know how to spell a lot of words. Some words not on your list, your school list, but just in general, when you come across it in reading, just to take note of different and new and exciting words so that it could come up in the test. So that's always an advantage. We know E isn't. We go to answer E and the letter is B. If we put B in, the first word would be snob, bile, grab and bell. So the answer has to be E. Snob, bile, grab and bell. Let's look at the second one of this kind of type of question. Again, we have to pick a letter that goes at the end of this word, the start of this one, end of this one, and the start of IND. Must be the same letter, and again you can start it all again. Can S be fit in there? This. If it doesn't, or sown, if you know it's not going to make sense in this word, you can leave it and move on to the next one. B, it says M. If you put it in there, it'd be them. If you put it in here, it'd be moan. So there are 2 words. That's good. If you put it in here, hellum, which is a word. Hellum, yeah. And then over here, be mind. Going from that 4 words, you don't have to, under the examples, you don't have to go through the next. If you found 4 words, they make sense, well then you know it has to be answer B. Let's look at the next one. We have tea, root, tick, oat. So there are 3 words there if we put the T in. And, but the last one, tined. Tined isn't a word, so then it's very close. It could have been tea. However, the last little section here, if you put T in there, it won't make it a word, so it can't be tea. M, room, mick, oem, mind. It doesn't make sense either. To some of them now it does, mick and room, but for the other one, again, it won't make sense. So then we go to C, rook, kick, oak, and kind. All 4 words. So I'm thinking, it might be C, it might be this letter K that we need to put in, but I'm just going to check the others just in case. Let's put in S. Roos, sick, os, signed, can't be S. The last one is P. Roop, pick, ope, pined. Can't be P either. Some of them do not make sense. Pick does, however, roop, ope won't make sense, so it can't be P, so there has to be answer C. Rook, kick, oak, and kind.